Nel mondo si costruiscono pochissimi gommoni in rapporto alla totalità delle imbarcazioni che ogni anno.
There are fewer ribs built in relation to the total amount of boats built every year. So why has one builder, who has only ever built boats, now deciding to build a fleet of pneumatic boats?
È quello che ha fatto la Ranieri International, che costruisce.
Well, that's just what Ranieri International have done. Built a fleet of 32 boats and stepped up production with a series of 4 pneumatics.
Questo è il modello.
This is the Cayman 23 Sport Touring model, and it possibly can help us figure out why they decided to go in this direction.
Il modello è lungo 7 metri e 10 centimetri ed è largo 2.
This model is 7.1 meters long and 285 centimeters wide. It's wider than the average boat of this size, and we know if the beam is bigger, the boat is more stable.
Ma c'è un problema. Con l'aumentare della
There's a
larghezza,
problem though. As the boat gets wider, it becomes less efficient, so we'll need more power and petrol. It's not exactly like that here though, as the hull is narrower in order to make room for the tubulars.
questi tubolari inoltre sono.
And these tubulars are filled with air, so it would take an awful lot to put them under, which in turn helps the boat's stability.
Stiamo uscendo dal porto di Genova, l'imboccatura di Levante.
When leaving Genova port via the Levante, the same path the big merchant navy boats use, they have the right of way because it's easier for us to maneuver. Right, now's the time to see how this inflatable goes. Just accelerating, and we're already planing. Power is pretty good already.
Abbiamo un fuoribordo da 100.
We've got 175 horsepower outboard here, but the biggest it can go is up to a good 250 horsepower.
Questo fuoribordo è molto vigoroso. Ha una cilindrata di quasi 3.
It's very vigorous, almost 3-litre cylinders to get all that torque and power.
Ok, siamo a 25 nodi. Chi ci segue spesso e chi naviga frequentemente.
Okay, we're at 25 knots. Anyone who's following this series, who sails frequently, knows that this average speed is more or less, so it's the right thing to understand how a boat behaves at this speed.
La scia è perfettamente pulita. Non ci sono spruzzi a
The
nodi.
wake is perfectly clean. No out of the normal spray. When I accelerate, it responds quickly,
Questo vuol dire che l'elica trova sotto la chiglia.
which means the propellers are pushing a compact and steady flow of water under the keel, efficient with little throwback.
I tubolari controllano bene gli spruzzi che vengono sollevati dalla carena.
The tubulars keep the spray made by the boat at bay. They don't just act as fenders, but like sort of mud flaps too.
Oggi qui davanti al porto di Genova c'è una bella onda.
Today, outside the port of Genova, there's some nice waves. Better than nice. They're the worst we could encounter. They're high and steep, perfect for wakeboarders, but not for anyone wanting to sail in a 7-metre inflatable.
Vediamo come si comporta.
Let's see how it copes turning.
Il tubolare interno va in appoggio e la sbandata.
The inner tubular pushes out, so the side inclination is controlled perfectly.
Le reazioni sono positive perché
Nice, positive reactions and no consequences changing the axis after a turn, and sticking to the route.
è molto.
It's very precise.
Adesso sto navigando con mare in poppa.
Now I'm sailing with the sea behind me, so I need to raise the trim a little to bring up the bow. Like this, I can direct the tiller more. I'm in command here, not the boat.
Vediamo un po' a quanto stiamo navigando in queste condizioni.
Let's see a little how we're coping with these conditions. Not bad, 35 knots and 4,800 revs. I think we can say that we've got to cruising speed.
Non so se sono le condizioni ideali
I don't know whether these are an ideal condition to try for maximum speed though.
si fa un po' fatica a dare tutto il trim.
It's a bit difficult giving it all the trim, but I'm going to try. This is a test, and I need to understand if it's a safe boat, with all this power.
Allora, siamo arrivati.
So we've got 40 knots,
Scommetto che ce n'è.
and I bet we can do more. Oh yes, there's more life here.
Abbiamo tutti i giri. Sono 6.000.
We're now at the highest revs, 6,000, and 42 knots. Not bad.
Beh, diciamo che qualche
But we can't say we haven't suffered any consequences. The camera needs to be straightened up.
Abbiamo stabilito che con 175
We've established that 175 horsepower, 1 metre high waves and 42 knots is definitely doable in this boat. Not bad. Now it's your turn though. You need to decide whether you like it. Let's have a look at the deck. There are 2 sunbeds. The one at the bow is long enough to lie down on. The backrests go down at the stern, but if you want more space, you can add extensions. The padding is made of cells that don't absorb humidity. The forepeak is countermolded, so it stays separate from the bilge and therefore the bottom of the boat, so it stays clean and dry. I particularly like the driver's seat. For ease, how it's ergonomic, and the look of the swimboard. Where the oars go can incorporate a kitchen and a fridge, and it has a fold-away table. The designer has given it character to this model, defining the form with stretched lines and visible but beveled edges. You can spend the whole day on a Cayman 23 Sport with lots of friends. How many? As many as you like, up to 15 officially, but that's the safety limit. I reckon that 4 to 6 people would be very comfortable. As opposed to the Sport model, the Sport Touring version has a changing room where you can put a toilet.
Allora, vi piace? Avete visto come naviga?
So you like it? Have you seen how it sails? I do think that it's clear now why Ranieri International has decided to produce pneumatic boats. Now you can always choose boats or ribs.